Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 113, the last mission, Catch Regieleki, Regidrago. This was the 1198th episode of the Pokemon anime and one of my favorite episodes recently. There's plenty to discuss with this episode as well as the preview for next week, so let's dive straight in. The episode opens with a battle between Registeel and Urshifu, and we see that this is Quillin battling against Registeel, and it's implied that he catches it. This ties into how we saw Quillin and Danica encounter Regirock at the end of episode 88, as well as when Quillin made reference to how he would come back for Regice in episode 71. Meanwhile, over at the Cerise lab, Go has received another trial mission notification. This time around, there are two missions that you can choose from. First is a mission called Follow the Three Sacred Footprints, and this episode is filled with references to the in-game mechanics of the ways in which you encounter legendary Pokemon in Sword and Shield, and this was surely a reference to how you must find all the footprints in the Crown Tundra in order to battle the Swords of Justice. The other mission is simply called Catch Regieleki / Regidrago, and Go also finds out that this will be the last mission. They give us a quick recap of the current Project Mew standings, and a quick recap of the current situation is that Gary is in first place with 12 points, while Lila is in second with 9 points. A group of people are tied for third with 8 points, while Go is tied with a bunch of people on 7 points. As Go points out, in order for him to qualify, he needs to be in the top 3 after these last two missions take place, which means that not only does he have to pass whichever mission he chooses, but he still might not even qualify to be a chaser, depending on what the results are of the other challengers. Go decides to take on the mission Catch Regieleki / Regidrago, and even Professor Cerise is like, yeah, no one really knows a lot of information about these two new Regis. Ash is fired up, but Go tells Ash that he wants to do this one by himself. Ash is taken aback at first, but he quickly accepts Go's decision and decides to train for the Masters Tournament while Go heads off to the Crown Tundra to find the Split Decision Ruins. After a quick scene of Go traversing the Crown Tundra, he arrives at the Split Decision Ruins, but he's surprised at what he finds there. It's Gary! Go is surprised to see his rival there, almost as if he was waiting for Go to show up. The two quickly start trying to open the door, but brute force clearly is not the way to get it open. When they investigate some of the text on the door, Quillin arrives and tells them that they need the 3 Regis to open it, just like in the games. And guess what? Quillin right here, ever so casually, has all 3 Regis. Wow. Somewhere, Brandon is weeping softly that he's not the only known trainer in the anime to own all 3 of these legendaries now. Anyways, the 3 Regis are able to activate whatever lock or seal was keeping the ruins closed, so now Go and Gary can proceed inside. Before they do, Quillin adds on the stipulation to the trial mission that once inside, they may only use 2 Pokemon each. Seems kind of strange since they're attempting to catch 2 legendary Pokemon, but it will make more sense later on. As Go and Gary make their way through the ruins, they have a pretty interesting conversation. Gary makes reference to how Go had to battle Horus at the end of the last trial mission, and he more or less says that Go's performance in that battle royal impressed him. Next, they talk about why they each want to meet Mew, and it turns out that they have pretty similar reasons, as they each just want to learn more about Pokemon. Finally, they arrive at the room where there are 2 statues and 2 patterns. The 2 of them work together to deduce that you have to step on the tiles in the same patterns that were on the entrance to the ruins. However, it seems that stepping on one side's tiles interrupts the tiles on the other side. We get a strange scene where they try to outdo each other and step on their tiles first, which was kind of weird, but eventually they realize this is going nowhere and try to figure out another solution. Gary suggests that the 2 of them battle for the right to decide which path to take, but then just immediately changes his mind and suggests they find a way to unlock both legendaries at the same time. They try jumping on the tiles at the same time, and this works. Obviously, this was not possible in a single-player game, but in the anime, I guess it's possible to unlock both Regis this way. Anyways, just as they're about to step on their final tiles, they get attacked from out of nowhere. Oh man, here we go. Gary and Go are trapped inside blocks of ice, and look who it is, Shunya and Lila, and they each have new Galar Pokemon. We cut to commercial, and when we come back, they just replay the last 20 seconds before the commercial. That was a little odd to replay that long of a clip, but whatever. These two are ready to send some payback Go's way after their defeat at Sea Mauville, and make it clear that they'll do whatever it takes to win, and that includes playing dirty. Go and Gary aren't going to go down that easy as they break free of their ice cages using Cinderace, and wait, Gary has a Hatterene? Cool. Go is ready to team up with Gary, so now it's 2v2. They decide to do a tag battle to decide who gets to battle the Regis, and Shunya and Lila have even more Galar Pokemon up their sleeves. Gary explains that he knew they would choose Pokemon with the type advantage over Cinderace, so he brought out his Blastoise since it would be an effective counter. I'm not going to waste too much time talking about this battle since it was over pretty quickly. Go Go and Gary used a combination attack to dodge their opponents and then sent some Blaze Kick assisted water pulses straight into Sandaconda and Runerigus. Is that how you pronounce Runerigus? I don't know, and anyways, who cares because it's already knocked out. Lila doesn't want to battle them anymore and is happy to let Go and Gary try their luck against the Regis, not out of the kindness of her heart, but rather because once Go and Gary fail, then it will be Shunya and Lila's turn to battle the Regis, which leaves them with less work to do. With that decided, Go and Gary step on their last tiles, and here we go. The Regis come out, and Go squares up to Regieleki with his Flygon, while Gary sends his Hatterene back out. They are very quickly outmaneuvered by the legendary Pokemon, and they have no idea what moves they are using when they come at them with their two signature moves, Thunder Cage and Dragon Energy. This combination quickly overwhelms Flygon and Hatterene, leaving them both knocked out. Go and Gary have their backs against the wall, but they're not done yet, and this is when things got really good. They each send out their ace Pokemon, and you can tell the intensity just got ramped up. They each land a big hit on the Regis, but they're not backing down. They send a Twister back at them, but surprisingly, it's Shunya and Lila who jump in with some advice. Not sure we really needed them to come up with this strategy, but it works, and it was pretty funny seeing Cinderace turn into this white and red spinning top when it got into Blastoise's Rapid Spin. They ride the Twister to gain even more speed in their already rapid Spin, and just look at the pace that Cinderace is coming at Regieleki with the spinning Blaze Kick. It's no wonder these attacks absolutely annihilated the Regis. There was so much speed and power built up into these attacks. And with that, Go and Gary each throw out a Pokeball, and gotcha! Go just caught Regieleki and Gary just caught Regidrago. This may sound a little crazy, but this was actually the first time that Gary has ever caught a Pokemon on screen in the history of the anime. No time to celebrate though, as these two walk over to them, feeling a little bittersweet about what happened. This scene is a little strange since Shunya and Lila just helped Go and Gary beat them, but on the plus side, I did smile at the sight of Cinderace and Blastoise looking at each other like this. Gary explains how even when people don't see eye to eye, or even if they're rivals, they can still work together to reach a common goal, since stubbornly acting on your own is only going to hurt you. Gary admits that he learned this the hard way during a mission with Quillin, and Go realizes that he must have had the same experience, and Gary admits that, yeah, he nearly got himself disqualified, just like Go did during his first mission. Everyone heads back outside the ruins, and Danica is there as well, so the other mission must have ended already. They send out the 5 Regis, and while everyone is just kind of standing there admiring them, the Regis start to have a reaction. A beam of Dynamax Light or Galar particles appears off in the distance, and anyone who bothered to get this far into Sword and Shield knows what's happening here. Appearing before them, it's a Dynamax Regigigas. Whoa! Everyone is shook at the sight of this giant, but fortunately for them, it just kind of fades away. What was that? No time to really process that right now, as Professor Amaranth calls them all. He's here to announce the final results of the Project Mew Trial Missions. For clearing this last mission, Gary received 3 tokens, meaning that he's finished in first place with 15 tokens in total. Go is excited to learn that Horace finished in second place with 11 tokens in total, which means he must have been the one to clear the other mission today and earned 3 tokens himself. That leaves, in third place, Jump cut. Before we could hear the results, we check in on Ash and his team, all tired out from their special training. He's on the phone with Go, who announces that he passed. 3 tokens he earned from catching Regieleki must have meant that he finished in third place on a total of 10 tokens. The episode ends with Gary congratulating Go, but also encouraging him, as their work is far from over. With that, the final Project Mew trial missions are complete, and we now know who all 5 chasers are. Wow, I loved this episode. I feel like order has been restored once again, as I think I am back to having a higher rating for this episode than most people. It's been a little awkward the past 2 weeks with people telling me that I wasn't high enough on each of the last 2 episodes. But now I am thrilled to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. There was so much great stuff and only a few small nitpicks. Let's discuss. I thought the way they introduced this episode was spot on. By following the precedent set in episode 110 by having 2 missions going on simultaneously, it made a lot of sense as to how the final Project Mew standings could realistically play out. Sure, it was pure chance that each challenger chose whichever mission they ended up choosing, but it played out pretty much perfectly that Go and Gary chose one trial mission while Horace ended up clearing the other one. I loved the focus on Go and Gary in this episode. By not having Ash involved at all, this allowed the episode to focus more on these two, and this episode kind of saw their rivalry dissolve into a friendship as they learned more about each other, worked together, and succeeded together. I thought this was great, such amazing use of a returning character, and I've been waiting to see Go on top of his game. And really, that's exactly what we got in this episode. Go was able to reach the split decision ruins on his own, figure out the puzzle to unlocking the Regis, and he and Gary proved to be a really good tag battle team. I'm sure a lot of people will nitpick how the Regis ended up getting captured relatively easily, and really my only response to that is that I think the flawed episode here is episode 102. They made Articuno way too strong in that episode. It kinda screwed up the power scaling when it comes to legendary Pokemon. But I already reviewed that episode and picked holes in it back then, so let's stay focused on episode 113. The scene where they battled the Regis with their two aces was incredible, and it's awesome to see Go finally catching another legendary Pokemon. I can't help but laugh when I say that, because I know it'll just set off some Go haters out there. Do they still even exist or watch these videos? I haven't mentioned my bingo card in a while, and that's honestly just because we haven't gotten any new tiles checked off since Serena appearing got our first bingo almost 2 months ago. Go catching a legendary in this episode does not check off anything new, but I think our heroes are slowly getting closer to crossing off a few more tiles on this bingo card. We know that Go is one step closer to catching Mew, as he is now qualified as one of the 5 chasers, joining Quillen, Danica, Gary, and Horace. It was pretty obvious that this would end up being the final Project Mew lineup. I'll save my criticisms for Project Mew as a whole for after Journeys is finished and it's time to review the entire series. I will, however, touch on a few criticisms that I had with this episode specifically. First of all, despite cooperating brilliantly throughout pretty much this entire episode, they still had to include that scene where Go and Gary were fighting over which Regi to unlock, even to the point where they were about to waste their time and energy battling each other. Why was that in there? That just seemed pointless to me, much like the unnecessarily long recap after the commercial break. They do these quick little recaps all the time to lead us back into the action. I just thought the episode played an abnormally long replay this time. Like, that's 20 seconds of my life that I will never get back. I am so devastated. Okay, not really, but something else that did actually stand out to me in this episode was how Shunya and Lila jumped to Go and Gary's aid during their battle against the Regis. Why exactly did they do this? I'm not that annoyed by this in all honesty, like it was strange, but I think there's a few different reasons behind this. First, they could have just got caught up in the moment. I mean, they were watching 2 never-before-seen legendary Pokemon battle. I would imagine it's pretty easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment in a situation like that. Second, they did make it pretty clear that they wanted Go and Gary to lose, but they also wanted the Regis to be weakened before they swooped in to catch them themselves, so they were fine helping Go and Gary, but they probably felt like they helped a little bit too much after the fact. I don't know, I don't want to absolutely tear apart these 2 characters since they were such late additions to the Project Mew story that we don't even know their full characters and personalities. I think a lot of people assumed that they were purely antagonistic characters, but clearly they're not all bad. With all of that out of the way, I'm giving this episode a 9 out of 10 rating. I had so much fun watching this episode, and my only complaints about this episode only took away from it ever so slightly, and my criticisms are heavily outweighed by the amount of complimentary things I have to say about this episode. So where does this leave us going forward? We know who the 5 chasers are now, but what about Regigigas? Will we get an episode about a max raid battle against it, or will we just go straight to the final Project Mew mission to search for Mew? This brings up another reason why I love this episode so much. It left me super excited for what's to come, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I do know what is happening in the next episode though, so let's talk about that. It looks like Ash is going to do some training at Oak's lab, and of all the people to show up here, it's Paul? What in the world is he doing here? I'm sure it'll be explained next week. Maybe Paul was also in the World Coronation series but failed to qualify for the Master Class, so he came to help Ash train. We do know that Ash and Paul are going to battle each other, and this 3v3 is special because Paul is using Garchomp, Metagross, and Gyarados, which just so happen to be the ace Pokemon of Cynthia, Steven, and Lance. I see what Paul's doing here. That should be an awesome episode. I can't wait to see it, but for now, thank you all so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.